Islamic end times prophecies. That's going to be what I cover in this video, with the intention to lead people who are Muslims to, when they see these things not come to pass, that they will actually turn to the Bible for the honest truth, because it's pretty clear to see that the stories within the Quran are just taken from the biblical text. So I have a few Islamic end times prophecies here picked out, and these are the ones that I think are just absolutely, completely not going to happen. There's a few prophecies within the Quran I'll get to at the end, which actually look like they've come to pass now, but I'll explain that at that point. But right now, I'm going to pick these few Islamic prophecies that I think are completely, definitely not going to happen, in hopes that when things move towards the end and more Bible prophecy is fulfilled, and like the mark is here and there's an Antichrist, false Messiah on the scene, then Muslims, Jewish, lukewarm Christian, unbelievers, hopefully everyone will turn and see, wow, the Bible, these prophecies actually come to pass. So the first one is a mountain of gold under the Euphrates River, and that 99 out of 100 people who go for the gold there will die in battling each other for it. So the prophecy says this, and every time the Quran says the hour, that means like the last days. So it says, the hour will not come to pass before the river Euphrates dries up to reveal the mountain of gold, for which people will struggle. 99 out of every 100 people will die in the conflict. Now, we know that the Euphrates River will dry up because it's prophesied in the Bible, and this is one of many stories. The more you look into the Quran, it's shocking to see how much of it is just taken from the biblical stories, which were written hundreds and thousands of years before the Quran, and just clearly manipulated by Muhammad. I mean, it's just clear as day to see. So when the Euphrates dries up, the end is happening, and there's no mountain of gold, I hope Muslims will turn to the Bible and see that's where the truth is. The next one is this hadith, which the hadith is like, it's like a writing from, they think Muhammad, but it's not the Quran, but they still, most Muslims, I believe it to be the truth from God, from their God. So here's a hadith about the end times, and it says, men will decrease in number and women will increase in number, so much so that 50 women will be looked after by one man. That's just, I mean, it's just not going to happen. There's not going to come a time where there's 50 women per every one man. And hopefully Muslims, again, will turn to the Bible when they see this doesn't come to pass. Here's another verse, an end times verse in the Quran, where a beast, the earth opens up and a beast comes up out of the earth, and it's actually a good beast. Kind of interesting to see the parallels there. But so there's a beast that comes out of the earth. It's a good beast. It has the rod of Moses and the ring of Solomon on its hand. And yeah, that's not going to happen. And none of these are, and I'll try to not say that after every one, but yeah, none of these are going to happen. And another thing about the Quran, how you can just tell it's like not from God, it's just not from God, is because it's so confusing. I mean, some of these things you have to look up. I type this in all over, or the next one I'm going to get into, you type it all over, and it's like a clear Muslim belief, but then you can't pull up the exact verse for it. I mean, you'd think God would make his word clear as day. I mean, when you put in a Bible verse in Google, or when you put in a Bible topic, you get the exact verse, the exact wording, not all of these random websites that look like they were made in 1999 talking about something to do with the Islam. It's like very strange. It's completely like jumbled around. And that's the same thing with this verse, this end times verse, this next one, which is that the sun will actually rise in the west. So the sun isn't going to rise in the east. Allah is going to cause the sun to rise in the west. And I believe that's referring to this Quran verse, Quran 2:258, where it says, indeed, Allah brings up the sun from the east, so bring it up from the west. The Quran also has much talk of the Dajjal, which is really the Antichrist. And actually, I believe most of it's from another hadith, which is like the Islamic Antichrist, the Dajjal, and then they have like their Islamic savior, the Mahdi, and then they say Jesus comes back again at the end. It's so clearly stolen from the New Testament stories going around the region at the time. But the fact is that these people believe that there will be an end times deceiver, there will be an end times false Messiah, there will be an end times Messiah, as well as Jesus Christ coming to the earth. So these things will all take place, and I have a video that I'll be coming out within the next few days about how this whole Dajjal, Islamic Antichrist, the real Antichrist, and then the false prophet, how all of this, as well as with Islam and in Judaism and like lukewarm Christians, will fall for these deceptions, and how the Dajjal, Antichrist, whatever, false prophet here in the end times, what's a prophecy? And you just think of a big city, like me thinking now, think of New York City, and then coming up with a prophecy like there's going to be a lot of roads that lead to New York City one day. Or when the end comes, there's going to be a lot more building going on and a lot more roads going on. I mean, that's just obvious with just the natural progression of society. Anybody could foresee that. And then there's another end times Islamic verse that says, the rulers will be bad. They won't be good rulers at that time. I mean, that's a large majority of history. We don't have good people ruling over us. So some of these are just absolutely clearly made up, which is common sense. Anybody can make those prophecies up. And there's really not a lot when you look at Islamic end times prophecy. It's not clear. There's not books on it. And like within the Quran, like how the Bible has the book of Revelation, and there's different chapters within the Bible related to it. The Quran doesn't have that at all. It's all completely mixed up. It's mixed up with these hadiths that are just like sayings of Muslims that some people, or sayings of Muhammad that some people think are really genuine from him. And for someone whose name is his title is the Prophet, he surely didn't give many prophecies of the times after him. I mean, he just made these prophecies then and made some just completely ludicrous ones that didn't even happen. Like the sun or the moon being split in half. Muslims believe that the moon was split in half at one point and I guess just brought back together. And it's so clear that Muhammad, I don't know if he was mentally ill or demon possessed, but he was living in the region, heard all these biblical stories going on, decided to create his own thing. He's got biblical characters, narratives, Abraham, Moses, Gabriel, the angel Gabriel, all mixed within his prophecies, the Euphrates drawing, all these things that Muhammad took and just created his own religion. And then he decided and also said to everybody, destroy the original manuscripts that are out there of the original writings, and we'll just go from here with this Quran. But clearly you cover it up. No one goes out and says destroy and burn all the old writings unless you're trying to cover something up. So it's clear to see, it's really clear to see what how the Quran is just stolen from the Bible at the time, written 600 years after the last biblical text in the same region of the world. I mean, only one of them is right, and which one has real proven prophecies? Is the moon split in half? Has it been put back together? Or well, look at Jesus. He fulfilled 300 prophecies. They're all proven. Every prophecy up until this point in the Bible has been proven. So there's 2 billion Muslims on the earth, and I just want them to give their life to Jesus Christ, follow him as the true Messiah, and to not be deceived by these just completely false lies. And my hope is that when these prophecies don't come to pass, that they will give their life to Jesus Christ. I mean, like I said, you believe in him, pray to him, and ask him, what is the truth in all this? And he will prove it to you. Thanks for watching, and God bless.